Welcome back to the channel. This is 20 Storm and you are watching 6th part of What If Naruto Was the Black Dragon of Apocalypse. If you enjoy this video, please like, share and subscribe to the channel. Now wasting no more time, let's start the story.
The people watching today's games couldn't wait for them to start. The games yesterday were really great, and they hope that today will be just as good. There were a few little fights. Beth and the girl in the cloak had to leave Mermaid Heel, so two new people joined the team. One was a girl named Brandish who was short and had green hair. She wore a burgundy swimsuit. Demaria Yesta, a plump blonde woman, was the other new member. Elfman was playing in today's games instead of Wendy. The last change was that the referee with the pumpkin head wasn't there, so Chapati would be one of the announcers and the referee for today's games. Jason from Sorcerer Weekly was the guest judge today. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the GMG's second day. There will be a chariot race today. The contestants have to run along the chariot platforms that are connected to each other without falling. This race is different because it goes all the way around the capital. The chariot will also be moving, and if a contestant makes a mistake, that could be the end of them. The contestants will go to many of the best places to see in the capital. Now let's find out who will be invited to this event. Chapati said it out loud, and everyone cheered. These people were chosen. Risley for Mermaid's Heel. Fairy Tale A Natsu. Fairy Tale B. Gajeel. Put a hook in Sabretooth. Bacchus for Four Cerberus. Kurohebi for Raventail. Blue Pegasus is called Ichia. Yuka for Lamia Scale. Gajeel, you're going to eat my dust. Natsu said with certainty. Gajeel scoffed. He replied, we'll see about that salamander. Sting said, this is going to be fun. Myself or Orga would have been better choices for this event. Dobengal said this in a frustrated tone. Rogue just let out a sigh. You recognize Sting. When he makes up his mind, he won't listen to anyone. Even more so if it has to do with Natsu, he said. Well, at least we're in first place, so a loss won't hurt us much. Dobengal thought. Now, everyone, let Day 2's event start. Everyone was more interested in getting through the chariot than in attacking each other, so the event was pretty simple. Well, most of the time, at least. In second and third place, Natsu and Gajeel were tied. Kurohebi was in the lead at the time. Just behind the two Dragon Slayers were Yuka, Ichia, and Risley. Bacchus was behind those three, and Sting was way in the back. Some members of Sabretooth let out sad sighs when they saw this. That Dragon Slayer weakness is really annoying. Dobengal muttered. However, why don't Natsu and Gajeel have the same problems? All of you kill dragons. Yukino was confused and wondered. Because only Sting and I are real Dragon Slayers. Rogue said it with pride. Not everyone, though, agreed with him. That's a bunch of crap. I know for sure that Natsu Dragneel has been sick in the past when she was on a ship. Gajeel should feel the effects as well. So why don't those two show signs of this? Before looking at our favorite Bluenet Dragonslayer in the stands, Dobengal stopped and thought. Now that I think about it, Wendy San knows a lot about seals, and from what I've heard, her sky magic mostly helps her. If she put the two together, I wouldn't be surprised if she made seals that kept people from getting seasick. Even if she didn't, there were many people in her guild who could have helped her. Back on the stage, the members were getting close to the end of the race, but no one was slowing down. I am surprised that you can keep up with that body. Yuka said as he was looking at Risley. Don't stare down at the fat one. Risley cheered as she raced ahead and used her gravity magic to run on the side of the chariot. Yuka wrapped his arms in his wave magic and used them to move forward. Ichia put 2 perfume vials up his nose. This gave him a huge burst of speed that let him run past Risley and Yuka and start heading toward Natsu and Gajeel. Before anyone shouted, Natsu was going to take the lead. Alright. Bacchus slammed his foot into the chariot in front of them, sending them and the other racers flying. Everyone yelled, what? What in the hell? Gray yelled out in shock at the strong show. He never was this strong 7 years ago. Erza said in concern. Damn, that was pretty cool. Wendy made a noise. I can't believe Cerberus had such a powerful mage, but after yesterday's opponents, I shouldn't be that shocked. Makarov said in awe. Then Bacchus moved forward and sped past Kurohebi, passing him and taking first place. Wild. The people on Bacchus's team yelled. The runner-up spot went right to Kurohebi. The other contestants then started to feel better. Natsu was about to push himself forward by using his fire magic on his feet. "Third place is all mine," Natsu called out. And that would have happened if Gajeel hadn't come from behind at the last second and hit Natsu's head on the chariot platform. Again, everyone yelled. "Gajeel, what the heck?" Gray bellowed. "Why did you do that?" Lucy called out. "Sorry, Salamander, but we both agreed not to hold back against each other, and that includes events." As he drove away, he said, "See you later." Fairy Tail B's Gajeel came in third. What an unexpected turn of events for the games. Well, that's what they did say in yesterday's games. So cool. That was cold, but it was true. Gildart said it, and everyone else agreed. Risley used this chance to move up and move into fourth place. Yuka and Ichiya were also about to go on. Boom. If a huge tower of fire hadn't sent them back, they would have kept going. "It's about time that Flamebrain got up," Gray said. "He's angry," Lucy said as everyone nodded. "Gajeel, you steel-faced cork. That's going to cost you," Natsu roared. Natsu took off like a rocket and finished first. The last contestants finally made it to the finish line, and here's how it all turned out. Quattro Cerberus, 10 points. Raventail, 8 points. 6 points for Fairy Tail B. Mermaid Heel, 4 points. 3 points for Fairy Tail A. Blue Pegasus, 2 points. Lamia Scale, 1 point. Score: 0 for Sabretooth. Well, at least he's not last, like he would have been if Wendy hadn't shown up, Gray said. "No kidding, those two owe Wendy a few wicker baskets full of sweets," Erza said. Gajeel and Natsu were having a fight right now because of Gajeel's cheap shot. "You've got something to say to my face, metalhead?" Natsu said. "Yeah. You suck and let your guard down. Wendy could kick your ass." Gajeel said something back. "You wanna go?" Natsu answered back. Then Erza and Mirajane hit both of their heads against the ground. Then, the two women on their teams pulled them away, and everyone just started sweating. Let's move on to the day's battles now. Kurohebi of Raventail is the first match. Toby of Lamia Scale. The fight was very one-sided, with Kurohebi winning by a huge amount. Kuro then showed his sadistic side by ripping Toba's sock, which was around his neck. That got him some boos from the crowd and some looks from mages from other guilds. Erza wanted to beat the crap out of him, but Elfman, Gray, and Natsu just barely kept her from doing it. Lucy was giving Raventail a very angry look until Flare walked into the room. She saw that the girl's face, chest, and arms were all covered in deep bruises. Did she lose because she didn't beat me? Lucy had an idea. Enough shouting, Alexei ordered. But Flare tried to tell Alexei what was going on, but he grabbed her cheeks and pulled her close to his face. "Do you want to get beaten up again?" he asked in a cold voice. Flare shook with fear. She said, "And no." After that, he pushed her back. "Then just shut up." Lucy just looked at what was going on and felt sorry for the woman. "Now, everybody, let's get ready for the next game." Bacchus came from the 4 Cerberus, in opposition to Fairy Tail A's. "So one of us will have to face him, huh?" Erza said. "Which one of us do you think it will be?" Gray asked with worry. "I really hope it's not me," she prayed. "Hurry up. Let me at him." Natsu yelled with happiness. "There's that worthless jerk. Whoever gets him, just get him for me." Kana shouted to the arena in a funny way. Wakaba and Macau tried their best to keep her from jumping off to the arena. "Kana, come down. You make it sound like you were murdered." Wakaba said this as she worked with Macau to teach Kana again. The middle-aged fire mage yelled to the guild's ace, "Gildarts, help us out here. Someone should hit that jerk for touching my Kana-chan," he yelled in a funny way. Everyone in Fairy Tail stands with their sweaty brows down. They all thought, no help at all. Arcadios had a dull look on his face as he watched the games. "Soon, I'll have the Stellar Age, and together we'll change the world. Zeref, you just need to be patient." The King of Florence came up behind him and stopped him from thinking. Ho. "Arcadios, you set up the pairings the way I asked, right?" he asked. He told the king, "Of course, your majesty." "Excellent. I can't wait for Erza and Bacchus to fight each other. This will definitely be a great fight. I hope that Hisuiheim will like the show. When Arcadios heard this from the king, his eyes got big. Eh? He yelled, and everyone turned to look at him. The king asked, "What's wrong, Arcadios? Did you say Erza? I arranged for a..." The voice of Arcadios before Chapati could be heard all over the stadium. Elfman. Elfman's eyes got very big when Chapati yelled. Oh. Several people yelled. What was that? Yelled the shocked king. Elfman? His team exclaimed in shock. Elf Nissan. Lisana muttered in concern. Everything is over. Wakaba and Macau said in unison. Smack. Both of them were now holding their heads while Lisana gave them a dirty look. Don't be so quick to say that. Watch out, because my brother is going to prove you wrong. She said, sure that her brother could do it. Be careful, Elfman. Hit quickly and hard. Show them how your training has helped you. We have only one way to go. Victory. Erza encouraging said to Elfman. Yeah, I'll show you all what kind of a man I am. Elfman shouted, sure of himself. What the heck is this? I wanted to see Bacchus fight Erza. The king said to Arcadios in a funny way. My apologizes, your majesty. He told his king, I'm sorry, I made a mistake. This had better be a good matchup, Arcadios. Still angry that he didn't get the match he wanted, the king said. Put on a show, please. Arcadios begged in silence. Both Elfman and Bacchus have stopped in the stadium. Ready to lose? Bacchus told his opponent that he was sure. Elfman gave an angry look. He said, I'm going to make you eat those words. Let the second match begin. At the same time, inside the stadium. Wendy is making her way back to the stands after a quick trip to the bathroom. As she got close to the guild's hospital, she stopped when she smelled something strange. She goes to the guild's infirmary and finds that it is empty and that poor Lyuzica, Edilus Grandini, is nowhere to be seen. But she can smell many different things in the room. There's something wrong, she says as she runs out of the room and follows the smell. She soon finds the smell that takes her outside. She quickly finds the exit and starts running across a long bridge. About halfway across, she sees a group of thugs holding poor Lyuzica and 3 other people hostage. Pick up those shoes, Wendy. As Wendy ran forward, she didn't need to be told twice. She yelled, stop where you are. When the goons in front turned around and saw the Sky Dragon Slayer on their heels, they jerked back. Shit, we've been caught. Yelled one goon. One person moved ahead of the other. The goon said, we have a job to do, and failing is not an option. He then pulled out 2 revolvers. He aimed at Wendy and fired, but because of her fupo, he missed. Wendy looked at the holes on the floor that were on fire. She said out loud, that wasn't magic. You're right. You should know that only 10% of the world's people have magic, and while you fairy tale mages were gone, we regular humans made progress in technology, so we don't need you mages. Wham. The man was talking when Wendy sucked him in and punched him in the chest, knocking him out easily. Thanks for that explanation, but man, you left yourself wide open. I couldn't pass up the chance, she said with a sly grin. One of the remaining goons said, why did you do that? You were supposed to wait until we were done talking before attacking us again. Wendy just stared at the man like he was an idiot. Which he almost certainly was. She thought, this fool didn't just say that. Yeah, he did. Dark replied. Damn it, the request was easy. Find the girl who uses celestial magic. According to the magic scanner we were given, this girl with blue hair is a stellar mage. Stupid. Don't say that out loud for everyone to hear. Wendy's eyes got smaller. Huh, so they were looking for a stellar mage. Lucy must have been the target, but that girl had no choice but to be dragged into this. Because they didn't want to leave any witnesses, the others must have been taken. And it would have been too strange to kill them. Wendy said, you have one chance to drop them and walk away. If you don't, I'll have to do something really bad. All of the goons laughed and had a good time. One of the thugs teased her, what can a little girl like you do? Soon, they were hit with a strong key that made them shiver. Before she jumped on them, Wendy said in a dark voice, I warned you. In the stadium again. The battle was going very badly for Elfman, who was on the ground with bruises all over his body while Bacchus barely broke a sweat. Bacchus teased, "What's wrong, Elfman? Is that the best you could do?" Elfman replied as he slowly stood up, "Like hell it is." Bacchus told him, "I'll let you know that I'm still holding back." "What? Is he serious?" Natsu yelled. Erza said, "Yes, he is. Bacchus's magic is focused on hand-to-hand combat. He uses it to make his limbs stronger so they do much more damage than usual." Lucy asked, "What's up with those strange moves?" Erza said, "That's his style of martial arts. Bacchus has gotten good at a lot of different styles, but the hanging chop fist style is where he really shines. Combine that with his reinforcement magic and you have a very dangerous combination." Her team said, "Wow." She said, "It gets worse," which made everyone stop and stare at her. "What? How?" asked Lucy. She told her team, "You see, Bacchus took his mastery of the hanging chop fist and added his own movesets from other styles to make what he called the drunken hanging chop fist." Gray asked, "Wait, drunken? You mean that his style involves alcohol?" "Yes, the hanging chop fist was already an unusual way to fight, but Bacchus's version is even better, and it's impossible to predict how it will move. All of this makes it a very hard opponent to face." Natsu said, "Damn, it's no wonder you had so much trouble with him in the past." "Yeah." Lucy agreed. Erza said, "That's not the worst thing." They all yelled, "What? There's more? Really, how little was left?" "Yes, you can see that Bacchus hasn't had any alcohol since the fight began," Erza said. When she says what it means, everyone's eyes get big. "Wait, so?" started Gray as Erza nodded. Erza said, "Yeah, he's not really taking this fight seriously." Natsu cheered, "Come on, Elfman, you can win this." Erza just kept looking down at the stadium. "Elfman, don't give up so easily." Again, Bacchus asked, "So have you given up yet?" Elfman yelled, "Like hell." As he slowly stood back up. He looks up and smiles a very evil smile at Bacchus. Elfman said, "I guess now is as good a time as any to test this." Bacchus just cocked his head. He asked, "What's that?" Because he was generally interested in what Elfman had in mind. "Let me show you something I just learned that only my sisters know about." Before Myra's eyes got serious, they widened. She mutters, so he plans to use it, but her team ignores her. "Use what?" asked Laxus. "He got to take over by mixing my demonic magical energy with some of his beast souls while we were on our training trip. It was a form that could compete with some of my stronger Satan souls," she said. Gildarts asked, "What's it called?" Because he wasn't sure if Elfman could handle it. "You're about to see," someone said, and everyone turned to look at the battle. As they watched, they didn't notice Mirajane putting her hands together in prayer. She thought, "Please be careful, Elfman." Lisanna was in the same place in the stands. "Good luck, Elfman Nietzsche," he said. Soon, a red and black aura wrapped around Elfman. Everyone was paying attention to the magical pressure he was letting out. "Demon Beast take over, Chawr." Elfman let out an explosion of power, which caused several shockwaves to go out. The power force was so strong that everyone had to cover their eyes. No one could believe what they saw when the wind stopped and the dust settled. Elfman now looked like a demon with blue horns on each side of his head and blood-red skin. Everyone could only think, "What the hell? Holy shit. That transformation looks amazing," shouts Natsu. Gray yelled in shock, "Looks? Can you feel that power?" "I had no idea he had changed so much," Lucy said in shock. "His power grew a lot. In this state, he is very close to S rank. But the question is whether or not his body can take it." Erza was thinking. Bacchus just looked shocked at first, but then his eyes began to shine. "Looks like this will be an interesting fight. Show me what you've got, Elfman." Bacchus moves quickly to hit Elfman. Elfman cocked his hand back and threw it forward, but Bacchus easily avoided it. Bacchus smiled in victory, but he quickly lost it when he was knocked down by a sucker punch he didn't see coming. The drunk guy who was fighting landed a few feet away and got up quickly, looking shocked. "Who?" Elfman hit a home run with Bacchus. "Don't underestimate me," Elfman said. He then disappeared in a red blur and reappeared in front of Bacchus. "He's quick." Bacchus was again thrown into the air, but he was able to land on his feet. He moved quickly forward and hit Elfman several times, making him cough up some blood. Lisanna yelled, Elfman Nietzsche. She was worried. Bacchus tried to give Elfman a roundhouse kick, but Elfman caught Bacchus's leg and lit his other fist on fire. Take this. Flaming Devil Fist. Bacchus was caught in an explosion before he could fly again. Elfman went after him this time. Bacchus didn't have much time to react when Elfman started hitting every part of his body with his fists. Elfman yelled, this for all the crap you put me through, you drunk jerk. Kana yelled, that's it, Elfman. Kick that jerk all around the arena. Gildarts shouted to the arena below, now that's what I'm talking about, Elfman. Show him what kind of man you are. Ever yelled, go, Elfman. Show him who's in charge. As she held Freed's head down. I can't breathe, Freed said, and he flew away. Mira Jane said in a worried tone, Elfman, hurry up and finish this soon. When her teammates heard her, they all looked at her like she was crazy. Gajeel asked, what do you mean? Yes, you do seem worried, said Laxus. Mira Jane sighed. Elfman can't stay in that form for very long. It's too hard on his body. The last time he stayed in that form for too long, he had to stay in bed for a week. He's almost at the end of his time limit. Everybody swore. Gajeel cursed, shit, what a two-edged sword. Lubbock said with worry, Bacchus is struggling. Bullet said with confidence, he still has his ace. Agil replied to his leader, let's hope that's enough. Bacchus was sent flying back again, and this time he landed next to his gourd of sake. Elfman was breathing hard, and his body hurt from having to keep changing. I can't wait any longer. Elfman thought, I need to end this soon. Oh, I see. So that's what this was all about. You can't stay like that for long, so you wanted this to end soon. Bacchus was now standing up again. He said, I'm sorry to burst your bubble, but this won't be over so quickly. Then Bacchus took the gourd and drank all of the sake in it. Lucy yelled, he drank it all. Erza said, now the real challenge begins. Bacchus got a second wind, ran of speed, and hit Elfman in the gut with a hard punch. Before he was thrown back, Elfman coughed up some blood. Even though it only looked like one hit, that was actually 7. Erza was thinking. Bacchus got on top of Elfman and kicked him in the head with an axe. Bacchus teased Elfman as he grabbed his tail and said, wanna quit yet? Elfman put his hand in front of Bacchus's chest. I haven't even started to fight yet. Devil Wave. A red wave of energy pushed Bacchus back, and the burns on his body made him flinch. Bacchus just grinned with joy. That's what I'm talking about, Elfman. Bacchus then ran up to Elfman and hit him 10 times with hard blows. Elfman grabbed him, but Bacchus didn't care and kept beating him while Elfman coughed up blood like a waterfall. Elfman! Yelled many people in his guild. Gray said, this is bad. Elfman, what are you doing? Erza was thinking. Lisanna thought, come on, Ni-chan, you can do it. Elfman, Mira said to herself. What's wrong? Why did you give up so quickly? Elfman just smirked and started to turn red. Bacchus's eyes widened, but it was too late to move. Elfman yelled, Devil Explosion. As a huge red explosion engulfed the two mages. Oh no, Elfman blew himself up and took Bacchus with him. Who will be the last one standing? Both guilds were worried about the members of the other guild. As the smoke cleared, everyone could see that Elfman had gone back to his normal form and was on his knees, huffing heavily because he had taken so much damage. While Bacchus' chest and arms were badly burned. Not bad, Elfman, but I win this, Bacchus said when he was back on his feet, though he was still a little unsteady. Elfman slowly stood up again, which surprised Bacchus and the audience. Not yet. I still have one more change I can use to fight you. He yelled in defiance. Bacchus only laughed. He yelled as he ran at Elfman, nothing you have will save you. Beast take over. Bacchus yelled, useless. As he hit Elfman 7 times. Ha, what? Bacchus was about to brag until he looked at his arms and saw cuts and bruises everywhere. What the hell went wrong? He turned around and was shocked by what Elfman had become. He muttered, Lizardman, as he wore dark green scales with sharp spikes on them. Did Elfman have something similar? Erza was dumbfounded. Natsu said, damn, that's cool. Amazing. Gray said. Hey, Bacchus. Let's settle this by seeing which one lasts longer, your arms or mine. Juvia said, damn, that's a bold bet. Come on Elfman. Lisanna muttered. Bacchus couldn't help but laugh, and he couldn't stop. Ha 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 ha. You're an interesting guy, Elfman. Let's go. Bacchus pounded Elfman with his fists, but the takeover was able to take the blows, even though he saw Bacchus flinch when his fists hit the hard surface of his body. After a few more minutes, they were both drenched in sweat and on their knees when Elfman's change was finally over. Everyone was waiting to see who would come out on top. Bacchus said, "Ha ha ha ha, Elfman, you're a real man," as he started to fall back. Before he fell forward, Elfman said, "Of course I am." Both of them fell to the ground because they were too tired to stay up. The battle is over. This match is a draw. The crowd cheered after the great fight. "I'm sorry for the fight that didn't go anywhere, Your Majesty," Arcadios said. "Don't be silly, Arcadios, that was a great fight. I hope Hisuiheim enjoyed it, too," the king said. Arcadios said in a happy voice, "I'm glad you liked the game. Although, please make sure to listen carefully, Arcadios." Arcadios and the knights with him had to wipe their brows. Yes, Arcadios would still have to pay for his mistake. "Of course, my king," said Arcadios in a shy voice. Wendy said, "That was a great fight, Elfman," when she saw the outcome of the fight from the top of the stadium. Poor Lyuzica said in an annoyed tone, "Great, now that Big Oaf will be stuck in the infirmary." "Are you okay, Grandini?" asked Wendy, worried. Poor Lyuzica snapped, "I told you not to call me that." Wendy just started to smile. She said in a happy voice, "But why not? You like it."
"No, I don't." Wendy's smile seemed to get bigger.
Wendy teased poor Lyuzica as she blushed, saying, "That smile says otherwise." Wendy looked at the three unconscious prisoners and said, Moving on, what do we do with these three?" Poor Lyuzica frowned. "I don't know. Those thugs said Raventail sent them to catch a stellar mage. That means they were looking for Lucy. Hopefully, the Rune Knights will find out what happened for us." "I think so. But I still feel like something isn't right. Even more so with those knights. Let's forget about it for now and watch the games. Let's get these girls to the infirmary," poor Lyuzica said as Wendy made a few clones to help carry the three into the guild's infirmary. Not sure where in the capital. Arcadios asked his head knight, so the plan didn't work. The knight told his boss, "Yes, sir, unfortunately," but Arcadios just waved him off. "Oh well, this is just a small setback for us," Arcadios said. "Have the culprits been caught and put in jail?" he asked. "Yes, sir. Fairy Tale doesn't think we're up to no good, right?" Arcadios asked. "No, sir. This is blamed on Raventail." Arcadios smirked. As he left, the knight saluted his boss and said, "Good. We'll use the tension between Fairy Tale and Raventail to our advantage." Arcadios stood there for a moment, then turned around and looked at something big behind him. Before he left, he told himself, "According to our grand plan, we will get our stellar mage in the end." The Fairy Tale Hospital. Erza told the bedridden mage, "I'm sorry, Elfman. I didn't realize what you were capable of. Your endurance and determination are some of the best in the guild, and they showed in your battle just now." "Wow," Erza complimented him. Exclaimed Lucy. Gray said, "Given how well he did, he deserves the praise."
Wendy said with a smile, "That was an awesome fight, Elfman."
Elfman muttered, "I just wish I could have won." He did a small shift on the bed. Lysanda said, "Don't worry, Elfman Nietzsche. You still did a great job, and your strength is one of your best qualities." Natsu laughed in a funny way. The fire mage teased, "It's kind of sad that it's one of the few good things about him." Elfman replied, "As if you're the one to talk, Natsu." "You're the same." Wendy told Elfman, "Don't worry so much, you did a great job. I feel like crap saying this, but I can't fight anymore, so I'm leaving the rest to you, Wendy." Wendy gave him a thumbs up, and a fire burned in her soft, brown eyes. "You can count on me, Elfman," she told him with confidence. Poor Lyuzica thought it was time to talk to everyone. "I think you kids should go out there, since the next match is about to start. It's important to study your opponent and know how they fight in order to win." Everyone nodded and was about to leave, but Natsu stopped and turned back to look at the old healer. "Hey, Grandma, I have a question." Poor Lyuzica felt a vein pop on her forehead, but she kept her cool. "What should we do about those three?" he asked, pointing to the 3 empty beds. One was written by a girl in her early to mid-teens whose hair was blue and cut in a low bowl cut. She really did look like Wendy when she was older. The second person looked like a young woman with long brown hair who was dressed in an Indian sari. The last person who lived there looked like a yellow cartoon bird. For now, they'll stay with the guild. Those thugs were looking for a stellar mage, which a celestial spirit mage is. So they were looking for Lucy, but they caught this girl and her friends by accident? Gray asked. Wendy said, I hope they wake up soon. The medicine they were given will keep working for a few more hours, so we'll have to wait. Natsu asked Poor Lyuzuka, wait, why aren't you still out? Poor Lyuzuka just laughed at the idea. Please, I know my poisons and herbs. Fighting it was easy, but it looks like they'll be out for a long time because they were given stronger doses. Gray asked, so who's staying to watch them? Freed, Evergreen, and Bixlow stepped up at that point. Don't worry, the Thunder Tribe will keep an eye on them, Freed said with confidence. With my runes, only members of our guild will be able to get in. Bixlow said, this place won't get attacked a second time. As they left the room, everyone gave a nod. Elfman grunted before looking at Evergreen. Elfman told the three, sorry to be a bother, but he was looking at Evergreen. Idiot, couldn't you have thought of a better way to fight? Then, when Freed and Bixlow looked at each other, they both had evil grins on their faces. They pushed Evergreen in a quiet way, which put her on top of Elfman. Both of them turned red as a tomato. Freed told Evergreen, now, the hurt people should be allowed to sleep. Bixlow teased, maybe you'd like to cuddle with him to keep him company. Stop messing with us, you jerks. They both yelled at the same time. The noise made poor Lyuzuka sigh. Man, Raventail doesn't feel bad about their dirty tricks, Gray said. Lucy sighed in frustration and said, the worst part is that we can't prove anything right now. We need to be careful at all times, day and night, Erza told her team. As they kept walking, Wendy was thinking hard. Wendy? The girl asked as she looked at Natsu. Yes? When Wendy was asked, do you have any siblings? She blinked and tilted her head. The rest of the team looked at the pink-haired fire mage in a strange way. She asked, why do you ask? Because she was interested in why Natsu would ask that. Well, that girl your age looked a lot like you, so I was wondering if your dad might have mentioned siblings, he said. Wendy says, my dad told me that I have 2 half-sisters, and everyone on her team's eyes get big. Really? They yelled, and Wendy nodded to show that she agreed. Don't you know who they are? Wendy smiled in a cheeky way. Wendy teased, S-E-C-R-E-T. And stressed each letter. Come on, Wendy, at least give us a bone. Whimpered Natsu. Gray just gave his rival a smirk. Gray teased Natsu as she glared at the ice mage, so you admit you're just an annoying dog? Shut up, Elsa, Natsu said with a growl. Wendy laughed, and then she decided to drop a hint. I'll tell you that my sisters are people you've met and know well, she said. This made her team look at her strangely. Natsu asked Wendy, wait, you have 2 sisters, right? Wendy said yes. But does that mean that? Wendy said, my father has been married more than once. Wendy sighed and asked, wait, are you the youngest? Oh no, she did not want to have that conversation right now. Not exactly. It's really hard, so just drop it for now. The others didn't push their luck and did what Wendy asked, but Natsu can't always take a hint. Wait, if your dad has had more than one wife, that means he's got a har. Natsu, please stop asking me questions for now, and to answer your last question, yes. Natsu turned red when she thought about what that question meant. Everyone else seemed to be unsure. Lisanna asked, what was that about? Natsu gave a nod. Forget anything I said, Wendy told Natsu. Everyone was confused, but they just put it down to something between Wendy and Natsu. She'll also let them know when she's ready. Erza told them as they walked out to the team stands, okay, let's go to the stadium and watch the game. When the team gets there, they see that Mira Jane and Jenny are playing. They were about to cheer for Mira Jane until they saw what the fight was about, and then their jaws dropped. Both contestants just wore skimpy bikinis and posed in very racy ways. Since both of them were models for Sorcerer Weekly, there must have been a special rule that made it possible to turn the match into a swimsuit contest. Needless to say, putting the 2 beautiful women in bikinis was a waste of time, but the crowd loved it. Well, most of the men did, but that doesn't matter, and that was all that mattered. In the end, they come to a standstill. Jenny said to Mira, "You're just as tough as you were before." Mira replied, "I can say the same thing to you." Then Jenny gave a smirk. "How about a bet to make this finale a little more exciting?" Mira was interested. "Oh, sure, why not? It sounds fun, so why not?" Jenny says in a dramatic tone, "The loser has to pose naked in the Weekly Sorcerer." EHHHHHHHHH. As several people passed out because their noses were bleeding. Mira just smiled. "Sure, I don't see why not. What kind of ridiculous wager has been made on this match?" Jenny said with confidence, "This is my victory, Mira." Jenny was covered in a golden light all of a sudden. When the light stopped, everyone saw that Jenny was covered in armor that was magenta in color. Mira Jane smiled as a dark violet aura surrounded her and said, "Machina Soul, Magenta Warrior." Satan Soul. Mira Jane showed up in her normal Satan Soul form. The two moved quickly and ran into each other in the middle. There were sparks, dust, and wind everywhere. From a swimsuit show to a fight, who will still be standing? Before they disappeared in a flash and ran into each other in different parts of the arena, the two split up. The only time people could see the two of them was when one of them hit the other. Mira hit with a right. Jenny would kick Mira in the stomach. Mira gives her an axe kick to the head, and Jenny gives Mira a roundhouse kick to the face. Jenny pile drives her into the arena after Mira hits her in the head with a two-handed hammer blow. This is what happened during the fight. Each girl hit the other before the other girl hit her back, and then they both punched and kicked each other. In this match, neither girl was willing to let the other one win. Gajeel said, "Damn, look at them go." Juvia was amazed by her teammate Mira-san's performance and said, "I never thought Mira-san would be so great." "Don't be fooled by how she looks. There's a reason she's one of our S-rank mages," Laxus said, sure that Mira would do well. Gildart said with a smirk, "Yeah, the she-devil of Fairy Tail shows her fangs." Mistogan said, "I hope that will be enough to win." Jenny doesn't seem like someone you want to underestimate, and everyone nodded in agreement. "This is the fight I've been waiting for." Natsu yelled with joy. Wendy said, "Damn, they're amazing." Dark grumbled, "Have to admit, for two models, they know how to fight." Wendy giggled at her other self. Lucy was surprised when she said, "I didn't know Jenny was a fighter." "Yeah, Mira told me that the two of them used to spar a few times after their shoots. It helped them get rid of some stress and was good exercise, but this was before she started using magic again," Erza said. Back in the arena, the two magicians land a few feet apart. Jenny points her palm at Mira as a red orb of energy starts to form. In response, the she-devil makes a dark orb of energy. The red laser. Evil explosion. When the two attacks hit each other, they caused a big explosion. Crimson missiles. Jenny said, and a magic seal appeared on her palm. This caused several missiles to fly at the demon mage. Mira spread her wings and took to the air. But the missiles changed their course and kept going after Mira. Natsu was confused and asked, "Wait, why are those missiles still following her?" Gray said, "Heat-seeking," but Natsu still didn't understand. Lucy decided to clarify more. She said, "They won't stop until they hit her. She'll have to come up with something to stop those missiles and win this match." Natsu thanked her and then looked back at the she-devil, who was still trying to get away from the missiles. "Be careful, Mira," Erza muttered. Mira keeps trying to get rid of the missiles, but they keep coming back. Things get worse when Jenny walks up to a distracted Mira while she is making a red energy ball. Jenny yelled, "Crimson Blast." Mira was about to land on the ground when an explosion happened. Darkness stream. A magic seal appeared, and from it came several dark arms that grabbed some of the missiles and smashed them together. Jenny and Mira were both puffing because they were tired. "Hey, Mira, let's figure this out," he said. Jenny starts to gather two big balls of energy. Mira then started to concentrate a lot of her energy in the palms of her hands. Jenny put her hands together when she saw a seal in front of her. She yelled, "Crimson Cannon." As a huge blast of red energy shot straight for Mira. Mira gave the beam an angry look. Mira yelled, "Soul Extinguisher," as she shot her own violet and black beam. When the two blasts hit each other, they created a dome of magical energy between the two female mages. Ho! It looks like the two want to end this match now, but WHO will stand as the winner? Mira smiled. She hadn't been having this much fun in a while, but it was time to stop. Jenny said, "You've gotten stronger in the last 7 years, but I can't lose here." Soon, a strong magical aura surrounded Mira. She yelled, "Satan Soul, Halphus." As the change began, Makarov's eyes get very big and scared. Makarov yelled, "Mira, no." In shock and fear. Several people in the guild had turned a very light shade of white. Mavis was confused as she looked at everyone. Mavis asked Makarov, "What's wrong, Makarov?" "I had told Mira she couldn't use that form again because it could destroy a whole city with one attack. The last time she used it, she almost destroyed all of Magnolia if I hadn't stopped her," he said, making some of the members shiver as they remembered that day all too well. Mavis nodded and looked back at the floor of the arena. She could see that Mira was giving off a lot of power, but power was not taking her over. She was happy. "Don't worry, Makarov. Mira wouldn't have used it if she didn't think she could control it, and I can tell you that she is still in her right mind." Everyone was silently praying that Mira wouldn't go crazy like she did last time. Mira had changed into Halphus when she got back to the arena. Once the change was done, the Soul Extinctor seemed to get twice as big and pushed Jenny back. Mira yelled, "It's time to end this, Cosmic Beam." The beam changed from a spiral of black and purple energy into a beam of white, blue, and violet energy that was twice as big as the Soul Extinguisher when it was fully charged. The cosmic beam hit the dome, sending it hurtling toward Jenny. Jenny couldn't say a word because she was in the middle of a huge explosion. Jenny was on the ground when the smoke cleared. And the winner is Mirajane Strauss. Jenny is out. Mira turned back into herself and gave Jenny a teasing smile as she changed back. She said with a smile, "I'm looking forward to your naked campaign, Jen." Jenny yelled, "No." At the sky in a funny way. Gajeel said, "Damn, that was amazing." Laxus told everyone, "This is why you should never, ever mess with her." Understood. Mistogan uttered. Lucy was amazed by Myra's strength and said, "I never knew she could be this strong." Erza said with a smirk, "And to think that wasn't even her strongest Satan soul." "Good job, Mira-san," Juvia told Mira as she came toward her. "I feel like I showed too much of my bad side," she said with shame. Gildart said with a smirk, "It's good to save the best for last," and Mira laughed. Then she realized that Mistogan had been very quiet. "Something wrong, Mistogan?" she asked in a nice way. Laxus replied, "No, he's just being himself." Mira nodded with a smile. "I see. It's almost the end of the second, and nothing has happened yet." "What's happening?" Up in the stands of Mermaid Heel, Sayla hadn't taken her off of Mira since she entered the arena. Risley and Brandish saw this and sent Sayla teasing grins. "Sayla, I see that you are interested in the Mira girl." Sayla's cheeks turned a healthy shade of pink. "What, no?" she yelled in shock. "I think the two of you could make a cute couple." Brandish said something. The girl in the cloak said out loud, "I wonder if this is going to make our mistresses a little jealous." Brandish smiled big. That would be a brave move for Sayla, who is shy and likes to read. Risley made fun. She might have read some naughty things in her spare time. Brandish laughed. At this point, Sayla's face had turned bright red, and steam was coming out of her head and ears. Now. Brandish. Risley. Stop making fun of her. Dimara said it like it was true. "Thank you, Dimaria." Sayla said, "Thank you," but she missed her smile. "Besides, we all know she wants to join the harem our mistresses have with their husbands." The red blush came back with a vengeance right away. "Damn it, Dimaria." Sayla yelled because she was embarrassed. "Oh, but you told me you had a huge crush on their husband and hoped to join them one day. And it looks like you want Mira to come with you." Dimara made fun. Sayla was about to pass out when the girl in the cloak and Kagura grabbed her. Kagura looked up at them with a stern look, but no one could miss the smirk on her lips. "Okay, ladies, stop making fun of me. We don't want her to get all worked up in the arena because she's thinking about love, right?" As her smile got bigger, she said. Everyone laughed when Sayla just gave them a look, but the blush made it look too cute. So she did what she thought was best, which was to turn her head. "HMPH. All of you are bad friends," she muttered, and then Risley, Brandish, and the girl in the cloak hugged her. "Oh, Sayla, come on, you know we love you." Risley made the embarrassed demon mage feel better. She pouted in a cute way, mean friends. Everyone just giggled at her sillins. That's the Mira I remember. Tough as nails. Natsu exclaimed. That fight really raised the stakes. Gray said this, but Erza just gave a shrug. It's Myra's way of showing that she likes to get beat up every now and then. Erza said. That's what we're best known for. Wendy said something, and Lucy laughed nervously. I don't think that's a good thing to be famous for. Lucy said. Mermaid heals Kagura Mikazuchi and will face off in the final match. Sabretooth's Yukino Agria. You had better win this Yukino, because some idiot already lost. You can't lose. Orga warned, and Sting gave him a dirty look for the poke. It was just bad luck for Sting-sama that the event involved travel. Yukino said, and Sting showed his thanks by nodding. Put that out of your mind, Yukino. You know what you should do? Sting asked her. Yes, nothing is more important in Sabretooth than winning. Before Dorganball grabbed her shoulder, she was about to take a step forward. Yukino, winning is important, but don't let it make you make bad decisions. Do not underestimate your opponent. Understand? He warned the wizard with white hair. Yukino was surprised by the warning, but she thanked the person for it with a nod. Before she walked into the arena, she said, Hi, Dobangle-sama. Orga laughed at what Dobangle had to say. Why say that nonsense to her? Orga asked him rudely. Dobangle just gave the big brute a roll of the eyes. I'm telling her that so she doesn't almost lose like a certain lightning mage. Orga growled. Want to tell me something? Dobangle just stood there and looked at Orga with a bored face. From what could be seen through the mask, he looked pretty bored. He said in a calm voice, You're a huge jerk who should use that pea-sized brain of yours more often. Orga barked at the magician in a mask. Before anything bad could happen, Rogue and Sting stopped Orga from doing something stupid by asking, Why you? Enough, Orga, calm down. Sting bellowed. Orga kept staring at Dobangle, then laughed and walked away. Good luck, Kagura-chan. Risley said. Brandish said, Give us at least some entertainment. The Sayla said, That Sabretooth girl looks confident. Everyone agreed with the girl in the cloak when she said, Kagura-chan is stronger. Thank you all. But you don't need to worry. My path is set, and my sword will lead me through it, she said as she started walking to the arena. Gray said, Here's the last battle. Since it's Sabretooth, let's pay close attention to this fight. Erza told her group. Everyone nodded. Hi. Wendy and Lucy said, Good luck, Kagura-chan. Wendy gave an imaginary cheer. Kagura is one of the strongest people in Mermaid Heel. Yukino is new to the guild because this is her first time showing up, but she must be strong to be allowed to play in the games. Now, let's start the last match. Yukino was going to bet her life against her, but after Dobangle warned her, she decided not to. She was sure of her own abilities, but she didn't know anything about Kagura's, which could cost her a lot. Then Yukino pulled a golden key out of her cloak. Open gate of the matched fish. She repeated over and over. What, another celestial spirit mage? Lucy yelled out in shock. What? There was another celestial spirit mage? In his head, Arcadios screamed. One of the 12 keys of the Zodiac. Wendy muttered. How do you imagine it would look? Gray asked out of interest. Merpeople must be what it is, right? Erza asked, picturing two people who looked like fish. Did she say paired? Perhaps a couple of combat fish. Gray thought, picturing two sharks fighting or something like that. Something tells me that you've hit the mark, Gray. Lucy said. Natsu said, I hope they're soft and fluffy. Natsu, that doesn't sound at all like a fish. Wendy said with a sweat drop. Ignore him, Wendy, or you'll learn to be stupid like him. Gray said this as Natsu gave the age a dirty look. Shut it, Ice Queen. Make me, you flame brain. Quiet. Erza yelled at the two of them. Yes, ma'am, they said, scared. Pisces. Yukino was done. Two huge white and black fish that looked like eels came out of a golden seal. Fish are delicious. Happy yelled with happiness. Huh, looks like you were right, Gray. Erza said something casually. Attack. Yukino gave the order. The two fish lunged at the swordswoman, but Kagura dodged the first attack and the ones that came after it with ease. Oh, It's amazing how Kagura is able to avoid all of Yukino's attacks. What will she say? Then Yukino pulled out another golden key. Open the gate of the scales, Libra. She can open 2 gates at once like I can? Lucy was amazed and said so. She is a powerful witch. Wendy said something. Everyone, especially the men, liked the way Libra looked. Libra, change the gravity of the enemy. Yukino said. Do as you want. Libra responded. As the gravity around Kagura got at least 10 times stronger, she tripped. She's also a gravity mage? Risley said with shock. Don't worry, Kagura-chan won't be stopped by this. Sayla said. Attack of Pisces. When Kagura fell, the two jumped on her. Dust and other things were thrown everywhere by the attack. Yukino's eyes get very big. When she looks up, she sees Kagura flying high above her. Holy crap. She can reach the sky. Natsu was amazed by how high Kagura could fly. No. Erza said, that doesn't quite work. Wendy said, it wasn't a normal jump either. What do you mean? Lucy spoke up. Kagura must also use magic to move things around. Erza explained. Libra turns her gravity on its side. Yukino said this to her spirit. Do as you want. Kagura felt the pull of gravity, which sent her flying into a statue in the stadium. Pisces on the attack. Kagura looked up at the person who was attacking her and her eyes lit up. Reversal of gravity. The force of gravity on her was cancelled out by the opposite force of gravity. Then Kagura turned to look at the two spirits. She yelled, gravity pressure x20. This knocked Pisces and Libra down. That's great, Kagura-chan. Now stop it. Cheered the girl in the cloak. Aw. What an amazing battle. This is what the GMG is all about. Said the king. Kagura fell on the other side of the field. It looks like the 13th key is the only way out. The 13th key? Lucy yelled out in total shock. What, there are 13? I thought there were only 12? Gray asked, not sure what to do. Yeah, that's how it's been, but my mom told me that there is actually a 13th key. One whose power is greater than all the rest. But it's so unusual and seldom talked about that I thought Ka-chan made it up. Lucy told us. Kagura, this is the end. It looks like you're out of luck. Yukino said. That made Kagura laugh. Luck? Since I was a child, I have never counted on luck. I spent most of my life in the dark until my mistresses found me and showed me the way to the light. Now I fight for them and for my fellow soldiers. Open. Gate of the Serpent Bearer, Ophiuchus. Yukino called out. As its huge body went around the arena, a huge black and purple snake came into view. Most of the normal people in the crowd found it to be a pretty scary sight. I can't believe there's a mage with the 13th key. Arcadios was happy to think this. Holy crap, that's a serpent bearer? It's actually a snake. Natsu yelled out in surprise. It's a lot. Gray yelled out in surprise. It's strong, but not strong enough. Wendy said. Yes, Dark said. What do you mean? Erza asked. As they turned back to the arena, Wendy only said, watch, and you'll see. Archenemy, take beam form. Kagura said while making a slashing motion with her blade, which was still in its sheath. It was very quiet until... clank.
The snake got cut in half.
Yukino was just as surprised as everyone else. Archenemy, dash form. Kagura had a black and purple aura around her, and she went right to Yukino. Yukino was thrown to the ground and hit in the neck with the end of the shelf. On occasion, even mermaids can eat tigers. As Kagura looked down at her opponent, she said. I lost. Yukino said something in shock. Kagura of Mermaid Heel is the winner. Chapati called out. Kagura looked at her rival from below. She told the white celestial mage, if this was a fight with our lives on the line, your life would be mine. You are correct. My life no longer has a point. I made fun of Sabretooth's name. My life belonged to the guild, and after this insult, I have no right to live. My life is yours. You can do what you want with it. She told me. When she heard this, Kagura just raised an eyebrow and nodded. That's good to know. We'll talk later, was all Kagura said as she walked back to her team. Was the girl from Saber that weak? Or was the girl from the mermaid that strong? Gray spoke up and asked. It's a little bit of both. Erza said. Yukino is not one of their strongest members, in my opinion. She must be filling for someone else. The same goes for Dobengal. Wendy came up with her own idea. So maybe next time we'll see how strong Sabretooth really is. Lucy spoke up. Wendy shrugged. Maybe. That Kagura is going to be hard to fight. Even for me. Erza had a thought in her mind. I just can't believe it. 2 celestial spirit mages have the 13th gate and all 12 keys together. Things are going a lot better than we thought they would. With a crazy grin on his face, Arcadios thought. There's something very strange. I didn't feel any of the power that is felt every year, and Ultir hasn't told me anything about the royal family. This gives me a feeling of dread. As he looked in Wendy's direction, Mistogan thought. I hope we're ready for whatever Wendy's dad warned us about. That night, later. Erza and Jelal were talking about what had happened during today's game. You didn't feel any malevolent magical energy today? Jelal said, the magical energy that reminds me of Zeref is the same energy that Crime Sorcier feels every year in the GMG, but we haven't felt anything this time. Erza asked, that is very strange. What do you think about it? Jelal said, there are several possibilities. If the energy is from a person, it's possible that person hasn't been seen in the capital this year. It's also possible that the person is in Corcus hiding their magic for some reason. The third possibility is that the person is taking part in the games but hasn't shown up yet, Jelal said. However, it's also possible that the magical energy is coming from a device or a certain place. If that's the case, the device could be turned off or always moving, or it could have a filter that hides the magical signature. Erza asked, do you think the gate in Carla's vision has anything to do with it? That could be true, but then you have to ask what the gate is for and where it is in the capital. Erza said, so we're pretty much at a standstill, and Jella nodded to confirm. There was nothing said between them. Both of them were wondering where this bad energy was coming from and why they haven't felt anything in this area lately. After a few minutes of silence, Erza spoke up. She said, 5 more days. Jelal hummed. Wendy's dad said that in 5 more days, he'll tell the truth about the dragons. I think that on that day, we'll find out everything about the man and this evil force. Do you still have doubts about him? Erza let out a sad sigh. It's hard not to be. He shows up out of nowhere to train Wendy in hell. He teaches Wendy how to kill, and then he saves Lucy from drowning. Then we found out last night that he is the Dragonslayer King. I'm just frustrated that the more we learn about him, the more questions I have about the man. Jelal nodded because he could see where Erza was coming from. Even he and his partners were tired of the man, but he had to ask him one thing. He asked, tell me, did you find out anything else about the man from Wendy? The only new thing is that he has 2 more daughters, which Wendy says we already know a lot about. When he heard this, Jelal just raised an eyebrow. Erza nodded. That's an interesting thing to say, she said. I'm still trying to figure out what she meant. Is she related to anyone in our guild? If so, who? We'll find out in the end, we just need to be patient, he said. Erza nodded. What are you going to do now, Jelal? I will focus on that lead about the royal family. So far, nothing has happened, but we can't be too careful. Just be careful not to do anything stupid. Don't worry, Ultir already has me on a tight leash. Erza teased, I sure hope so, because if you think hers is tight, you won't believe how tight mine will be. Jelal nervously chuckled. Erza gave him a light tap on the shoulder and said, scary as always. Just don't overdo it. Erza smiled and walked away as Jelal nodded and said, I promise. Jella put on his mask again with a soft smile on his face. I never thought I would talk to you like this in a normal way. As he started to walk away, he thought, thank you, Erza, for this chance. Erza told herself, it's getting late, I should probably go back to the guild lodge. I don't want to worry anyone. I wonder if the banquet is over. Erza stopped and turned her head to the side, where she saw an empty alleyway. She was sure that someone was watching her. Was it my imagination? She thought as she started to walk again. She didn't know it, but a familiar-looking man in a cloak was watching her from the building above. He looked to the side when he felt something magical near where Erza was coming. Soon, he thought as he went through a black portal and out of sight. After a few minutes, Erza heard a shout coming from above her. Erza looked up and saw the cloaked mage from Mermaid Heel. She said, I finally found you. She asked, Who are you? Super strong, right? Asked the girl with the cloak. Erza's eyes widened in joy. It's been a while, Chan, the female mage said as she took off her hood and showed her dark brown hair and cat-like ears on the top of her head. Miliana. Erza yelled with happiness. Then Miliana jumped up and gave Erza a tight hug. I missed you. Yelled Miliana. Ahahaha. Millianna. Erza laughed before she could really see her old friend. You joined Mermaid Heel? Miliana nodded happily. Yup. I sure did. Miliana happily said. Oh, I see, so it was you who carried the flag. What about Wally and Sho? Are they part of a group? Erza asked. The last time I heard from them, a few months ago, they had joined Blue Pegasus, she said. Erza nodded. I see. Miliana said, we'll probably see them eventually. Erza gave Miliana another hug and said, I'm so glad to see you. I agree, Chan. Miliana said, I'm glad to see you're doing well, even though she could see the same thing in Erza's eyes. She told her, don't cry, Chan. Erza replied, as if you were the one to talk. Hotel Sabretooth. So pitiful. This is so sad. It would be pointless to cry. Do you know why our guild is the best in Fury? We don't hang out with people who are weak. We look down on them like they were bugs. And if they try to stop us, we crush them with all our strength. To make the skies cry, the earth boil, and the seas quiet. That is Sabretooth. This was Gemma, who ran the Sabretooth Guild. Sting. Sting said, yes, Master, just before he was hit by a blast of magical energy. His abdomen was smoking from the attack, which sent him hard to the floor. As Sting moaned in pain, everyone looked shocked but did nothing. With that sad show you put on today, you embarrassed our guild. I'll give you one more shot. If you fail again, there won't be another chance. As he got back up, Sting said, yes, Master. Yukino. Yukino barely had time to say, yes, ma'am, before she was thrown into the wall. Gah. Everyone just stood there in shock. Gemma grabbed her by the throat and threw her to the ground. She coughed again just as Gemma slammed his foot into her stomach, making her scream in pain but not make a sound. You sad little girl. How dare you put on such an embarrassing show today? Everyone will now start to look down on our guild because of you. All thanks to you. Yukino kept crying out in pain as she was hit more and more, but everyone turned away except one person, whose eyes narrowed and whose hands curled into fists. When you joined with this girl, you said that Sabretooth owned your life. You told me that your life would be over if you ever failed Sabretooth. As Gemma's fist glowed with power, everyone's eyes widened. Since you let Sabretooth down, you have lost your life. Now die. As he threw his fist at the stellar mage, who was on the ground. But he was shocked when Yukino vanished in an instant. What the heck? Yelled a lot of people, including the master. Someone said, that's enough, master. Gemma turned to look at the person who had tried to help. He growled, what do you think you're doing, Dobengal? Dobengal laughed. Put an end to this act, he told her. That girl made this guild look bad. She will die as a result. Sabretooth has to stay on top at all times. That idea has been ruined by the girl. As punishment for her failure, she must lose her life. Dobengal just shook her head. The ninja mage replied, you really are a power-hungry fool. This time, Gemma laughed at him. Like you're the type to talk. You joined this guild because your family clan is well known. You were angry that everyone had forgotten about your family. You tried to get the world to pay attention to your old family. As Dobengal stared at the master, he let out a powerful amount of ki. Don't even think about mixing up my goals with yours, Gemma. I joined in order to bring my family back into the spotlight and give them honor again. I have always fought for the values that my parents taught me when I was a little boy. I thought that if you were strong, people would notice you, but that can be taken in many different ways. What you're doing doesn't show how strong you are or how much better you are. What do you want to know? Enlighten me, brat. Gemma growled. I see a coward who can't deal with failing sometimes. A fool who thinks they have to beat people below them to prove they are better. I see a sad man child who beats the crap out of other people to make up for the fact that he isn't as good as his own child. The anger on Gemma's face made it red. Enough. You have spoken out of line. Prepare to die. He yelled. Dobangle vanished and then showed up below Giemma with the tip of his sword at the master's throat. Everyone was shocked and fell silent. This is the second time I've been in charge of your life. The first time was when you were beating Yukino. I had plenty of time to cut off your head and body. Now, right now. Tell me, master. Who's the wimp this time? Dobangle mocked. Giemma did nothing but look mad. Eventually, a few people were able to calm down enough to separate the two. Dobangle, get that trash out of here. Make sure that she gets rid of it. She doesn't deserve it. If you weren't still useful, I would have gotten rid of you a long time ago. It's funny, I could say the same thing about you. Make no mistake, master. If you go too far with this again, your head will roll off your body. Dobangle and Yukino were gone in an instant, and Sting also left. Sometime later, at the entrance to the Sabertooth lodging, she bowed in thanks and said, "Thank you for everything, Dobangle-sama." He told her, "Take care, Yukino." She nodded. "Say, thank you." Sting called out, "Yukino. I'm sorry this is how things turned out, but you know the rules." Sting told Yukino, "Only the strong can survive, and you weren't strong enough." Yukino bit her lip as she shook slightly. "Thank you, Sting-sama, for everything. I will never forget how kind you were to me," she said as she walked away. The two of them kept looking at her as she went, but Dobangle was the first to speak. "Tell me, Sting, why did you help me take care of Yukino?" "I owed her because she stood up for me when I did a terrible job. I owed something. I was just paying back what I owed. Plus, she was nice to Lecter all the time." Dobangle nodded. "I see." Sting looked at the mage ninja with narrowed eyes and said, "Now you'll answer a question for me." "What would you like to ask me?" "Why?" Dobangle looked at his friend with blonde hair. "Excuse me?" he asked, and Sting seemed more upset. "What the hell were you thinking? Why go all that way for her? Why try to scare the boss?" He almost yelled it. "Sting, I have a rule. My family taught me this from the time I was born. We never give up on our friends. We fight until the war is over, and we never give up on these ideals. That's the same as killing us ourselves." Sting scoffed. Comrades are nothing but a burden, and Dobangle narrowed his eyes in disgust at this bullshit again. He growled, "You know, both you and Rogue are full of crap," which made Sting glare at him. "What did you say?" he yelled. "You talk a lot about brotherhood, but what the hell do you call the relationship between you two and your exceeds?" Dobangle retorted. "Don't let Lecter get involved," Sting growled, but Dobangle just rolled his eyes. "Oh, you're getting angry now? You call people out for their bonds, especially Fairy Tail, but you're doing the same thing. You call yourselves true dragon slayers, but all I see are haughty, hypocritical fools." Even more growling came from Sting as he started to let go of his magical power. "Dobangle, you should watch what you say," he said. It might cost you, but Dobangle just used his own magical power to get back at him. "I think you two should think about your relationship again, Sting. Or it will come back to haunt you." That was the last thing Dobangle said before a flash of light took him away. Sting laughed as he tried to ignore the words that kept playing in his head as he went back to his room to sleep. Somewhere near where Fairy Tail lives. "Man, that was a great meal," Natsu said with a smile. "I couldn't eat another bite." As he tapped his belly. Wendy said, "You really eat too much, Natsu-san." "I'm full as well," Lucy said. "Are we close to where we'll be staying?" Lucy asked, since she didn't know this part of the capital city. Wendy said, "Yes, we're almost there." Wendy said, "It's kind of a bummer that we have to share a room," while Lucy just hung her head. "It's the worst thing ever. Gray always loses his clothes, and Erza ends up cuddling with me for some reason." "Wendy, you're the only normal person there." Wendy just giggled. "Oh, Lucy, come on. Not really that bad. I mean, I cuddle with you." "Yes, but you aren't as needy as Erza." "You've brought it up, so where are Gray and Erza?" Natsu asked. "Unfortunately, Gray got caught up in yet another love triangle story." Wendy said, "So he won't be back for a while," and everyone just sweated and hoped that Gray wouldn't go crazy. "About Erza, where is she?" asked Lucy. Happy just laughed when he said, "I think she went to talk to Mistogen." He joked, "Of course she did. Don't have any dirty thoughts, Happy. You know how Erza will get," Wendy teased back, and Happy's face turned a sickly white color. Don't say anything to her. I was kidding. He told the Sky Mage in a hurry, but Wendy just smiled cheekily. Maybe, she gave a hint. Wendy. Happy in a funny way, and the other two were just laughing at his misfortune. Lucy said, "You know, Wendy, I have to say I like the new you." Wendy smiled big at her as she turned around. Really? Lucy nodded. Yeah, you're more outgoing and honest about yourself. It's a welcome change. It's like you're a totally different person. Wendy giggled. Many thanks. I appreciate it. My father wanted me to believe in myself more. Natsu said, well, he did a good job with that. Why, thank you. As they got closer to the place to stay, Wendy smelled something strange in the air. Hey, Natsu, what do you smell? What's that smell? She asked the other Dragon Slayer. Natsu started to smell the air and picked up the smell, too. Yes, someone is standing in front of our lodging. The group started walking with a little more care until they got to the front, where there was, in fact, someone. Lucy said, damn, a Dragon Slayer's nose never ceases to amaze me. Wendy and Natsu smiled big in response, and they soon recognized the person waiting in front. Hey, that's... started Natsu. Happy went on, Sabertooth's Celestial Spirit Mage. Lucy cried out. Yukino. Wendy muttered. Fairy Tale, Yukino said, I'd like to talk to you, Lucy-san. With Erza and Miliana again. I planned to tell everyone who I was when the games were over, which would be a big surprise for everyone. But I couldn't stop myself. Chan, I really needed to see you. You got what you wanted. Yup. Miliana cheerfully said. Tell me, do you have a team of your own? Erza asked. Yes, my fellow Nikos and I have our own team. Team Kitty Cat is what we call ourselves. Even though they don't like the name, our mistresses laugh at what we do. Erza couldn't help but laugh when her friend did something funny. I see. Kagura, the leader of your guild's team, is very strong. She is, yes. I don't think even you could handle her if she went all out. I see, she's good with swords and magic. They are dangerous when they work together. Yup, I wouldn't be surprised if you two ended up fighting in the tournament. Archenemy, if it's not someone strong, Kagura will never let go of her blade. Erza was a little worried when she heard what the blade was called. That's an odd name for a knife. Miliana nodded and frowned as she did so. When Kagura first found the blade, she swore she wouldn't give it up until she found her enemy. The person she could no longer stand to be around. Erza felt a pit at the bottom of her stomach, but she didn't pay attention to it. Who was he or she? She asked with some worry. The same person I used to hate and want to destroy with everything I have. Jelal Fernandez. As soon as she heard the name, Erza's heart stopped and she went stiff. Her face turned a pale shade of white. I know, it's pretty crazy. Since we left you, all I could think about was how much I hated and was angry at him. We threw away years of our lives for him, but what do we have to show for it? Nothing but to be thrown away like old garbage. We got along pretty well when we met, and we both wanted to kill Jelal. Why does Kagura want Jelal to die? Erza had no choice but to ask. Miliana, on the other hand, just shook her head. Gomen, I'm sorry, Erza, but I can't tell you that. That's the story Kagura has to tell. Erza groaned. This was happening more and more often. I understand. But what made you change your minds? Erza didn't understand why they turned away from their plan to get revenge. Miliana gained a small smile. Our mistresses. When we joined the guild, we only thought about getting our own back. Our mistresses tried to talk to us, but we didn't want to hear them. But in the end, they were able to get through our thick heads and open our eyes. We will always be grateful to them for that alone. Erza smiled until she asked her a question that bothered her. You keep saying mistresses. Meaning more than one. Does that mean you're in charge of more than one guild? Miliana nodded. Yup. Probably no other guild in Fury has two masters like we do. Chan, they are the best. Even though they don't usually show up in public unless it's absolutely necessary. Oh, I see. I really wish I could meet them. Erza said it with thought. Then Miliana jumped out of her chair. Well, you'll get your chance now. She said in a happy voice. Erza looked strangely at her friend. Eh? But, Chan, I came here because of two things. You were one of the reasons. The second reason is that my boss wants to talk to you. Obviously, if you're okay with this. Are you sure? I don't want to get in your way. Nanasine. You, Wendy, and Lucy are always welcome to join our guild. Erza blinked in response. Why would they always be welcome in the guild? But then? Miliana just giggled in response. You will just have to come with me and see for yourself. Erza sighed, but she thought, what's the worst that could happen? She said, alright, let's go. Erza had no idea that this one conversation would change everything she thought she knew about herself. Mermaid Heel Lodgings. Hey Kagura-chan. Where are they? Hello, Miliana-chan. Everyone has already gone to sleep. So, did you bring Erza with you? As Erza came in, she said, yup, she's right here. The two women were polite and shook hands and gave each other small smiles. Hello, Erza Scarlet. I'm happy to meet you. It's my pleasure. Miliana told me a lot of things about you. Kagura's eyebrow went up. Really? We hope nothing bad and only good things. Erza agreed and smiled in a funny way. She really likes how strong and beautiful you are. Chan. You're making me look bad. Cried a red-faced Miliana. The girls laughed and giggled. Now, Erza, our boss is on the other side of that door. Erza nodded in appreciation. Say, thank you. She was on her way to the door when Kagura stopped her. Erza. The mage with red hair looked at her. Before you say or do anything, think about it. Please pay attention to what our mistress has to say. Erza was confused, but she still nodded. She ran into the room quickly. She looked around to find a very big, well-kept room. Her eyes were fixed on the front of the room, where a chair stood near the back. A lot like a throne room. But she gasped when she saw who was sitting in the chair that looked like a throne. She was very tall and very pretty. Men would drool over her figure, which was very curvy. She had a lot of red braids in her hair, and there were 2 golden ornaments near the top of her hair. She wore red lipstick and earrings in the shape of a U. Her clothes were a Riska copyright take on the usual witch's clothes. She wore black boots with heels that went up to her thighs and gloves that were the same style but had claws on the ends. She also wore a witch's hat, but it was different because it had dreadlocks hanging from the top. The most noticeable part of the outfit was the long loincloth with the mermaid heel symbol printed on the front. Overall, she was the definition of a beautiful seductress. But what caught Erza's eye about the woman was her face. Erza thought it was like looking in a mirror. Same face, same brown eyes, and same red hair. The only difference was that the face she saw in the mirror was older. What's your name? Why do you look identical to me? She asked with a little fear. Hi, I'm Irene Belsirian. I've been wanting to talk to you for a very long time. It's easy to see why I look like you. Erza, I am your mother. Erza blinked a few times and then felt her brain shut down. Then she felt it start up again. When she thought about what the woman had said, her eyes got as big as beach balls and were about to fall out of her head. She yelled, what? While that was going on at the fairy tale lodgings. You said you needed something from me? Lucy asked in a nice way. Yukino nodded. Yes. I need to talk to you about something very important. How do we know this isn't some kind of trick from Sabretooth? Natsu said with a tone of doubt. Wendy gave him a small tap on the back. Natus, come on, let's listen to what she has to say. She hasn't done anything to make us want to be suspicious of her. Said the brunette. I agree with Natsu, but I want to know what the woman wants too. Creepy thought. Then Yukino pulled something out of her pocket and put it on the table. It was her golden keys. If I may be so bold. She said, I'd like you to have my 2 zodiac keys. Everyone's eyes get big with surprise. What? They all yelled in surprise. Damn, I didn't see that coming. That's not possible. They are yours. Lucy yelled out in surprise. Why would anyone give up their keys to the heavens so easily? Even more so because these keys were made of gold zodiac signs, which are even harder to find. She can say for sure that it was hard to find them. Heck, the only reason she got so many was because she got lucky more than once. So why would another celestial spirit mage just give them up? Yukino turned her head away. When I first saw you competing in the games, I knew I would give you my keys when the games were over, she said. Natsu looked confused when you told him that. Natsu said, "Wait, the games aren't over yet." Yukino moved a little when she said that, which Natsu and Wendy both noticed. Before she said, Yukino let out a sigh. "The games have ended for me. Soon, Minerva-san and Rufus will take over for Dobangle-sama and me. With this, Sabretooth will put together his best team. I only filled in for Minerva until she came back from a last-minute mission with Rufus." Everyone in the room thought, "Wow, Wendy, you were right. But I don't understand. Why hurt your spirits this way? Aren't those spirits your most valuable friends?" Lucy spoke up. Everyone saw her features change as a sad look came over her face, which she quickly covered up. But they could still see in her eyes that it hurt her to do what she was doing. "That is exactly why I'm giving you the spirits, Lucy. The spirits of the Zodiac would be much happier if there was a stellar mage who was much better." Soon, Lucy started waving her hands. "Wait, don't go yet. I'm grateful for the offer. Do this, please." Yukino went for it. Now, the 12 Zodiac spirits will be back together after being split up for hundreds of years. Together, the 12 will finally open the door that will change the world. Yukino told her story. The gate that changes the whole world? Lucy did it again. "Yeah, like that isn't ominous at all." Dark retorted. "I'm not sure what that has to do with the Eclipse Gate." Wendy had an idea. "I heard this story a few years ago. You might not have noticed, but there haven't been many stellar mages lately. This is because of a problem with some Zentopian extremists. They were thrown out by the Magic Council, but the damage was already done. They have tried to get rid of as much as they can about stellar magic and its variations. There are probably less than 10 stellar mages left in all of Fury, to be honest." Before she looked at Lucy again, Yukino explained. "I can tell you really care about your souls. I can also tell that the celestial spirits love you. You are the one who should carry all 12. Lucy took a minute to look at the keys. Her goal for a long time was to get all 12 keys. She did this to show respect for her mother and her family. But her adventures with Fairy Tail taught her that the bonds she already had were more important than getting those keys. Lucy pushed them back because she knew it was the right thing to do. She said with a smile, "I can't take these keys after all. Isn't celestial spirit magic a kind of magic that depends on our bonds and trust? It's impossible for the owner to be changed so easily." Yukino groaned. "I figured you'd say something along those lines." She said this as she got up. Lucy opened and closed her eyes. "Eh?" Yukino just smiled a little at her. "The 12 keys will come together again someday. Most likely sooner than you think." Wendy thought a dark thought and agreed with it in her mind. "Back with Erza. How? How is this possible? I've always been alone my whole life. And out of the blue, you tell me you're my mother? I can believe what you say because you look like an older version of me, but why? Why weren't you there when I needed you? Did you not want me? Did I not mean much to you? You left because you hated me that much? Do you know what I've gone through my whole life? Tell me. Damn it, tell me why." Erza huffed and puffed as she finished her rant. Several times, her voice broke, and she could feel tears falling from her eyes. She didn't know where all of the sudden anger and bitterness came from. Maybe she finally let out all the feelings she had been holding in for years. Maybe she wanted this woman to feel bad about what she had been through all her life and feel the same pain she had felt for all those years. No matter why, she just wanted to get everything out. Erza was ready for a lot of reactions, but she didn't expect her look-alike to give her a strong hug. She didn't understand what was going on until she felt Irene start to shake and saw that the woman was crying hard on her shoulder. She could hear her saying sorry after sorry, but all Erza could do was rub Irene's back while the two of it all out. Irene finally felt calm enough to turn around and look at her daughter. "Erza, I know I don't have the right to call myself your mother, but please let me explain, and then you can decide what you want to do. Erza, please, give me this chance to explain. I swear on the blood of dragons that I really want to talk to you again." Irene said this as lightning flashed in the sky. Erza's eyes get big when she thinks about what the oath meant. Then she looks down, not sure what to do. Should she give this woman a chance at all? But then she thought about what Kagura had said. The guilds and her master's ideals. Everyone deserves a chance to try again. This is probably her only chance to find out who her real parents are. She sighed and wiped her eyes before looking at Irene with serious eyes. Okay, I'm going to give you this chance. I want to know the truth, and I know that if I leave, I will always regret it. Irene showed her thanks by nodding. She sat back down and said, "Thank you." Then she offered Erza a seat and a cup of tea. "Now, you have to understand that this goes back to when I found out I was pregnant with you. I couldn't have been happier. To be given the chance to be a mother. Even your dad was happy. He couldn't hold back his joy at having a second child. He was also happy with his other wife." Erza spit out her tea in surprise. "Wait? What? What do you mean by, his other wife? Are you saying Dad had an affair with you? I have a child outside of marriage?" Erza screamed out in shame. Irene gave a nod. "No, sweetie, you were not born outside of a marriage. When you were born, your dad and I were very much married. He was just already married when this happened. So," Erza began, "my father has. Yes, he has more than one wife. I'm his third wife." Irene smiled as she said goodbye. "My dad has a harem. Why can't anything be easy for me?" Erza facepalmed and groaned. "Oh come on, Erza. Simple and normal are overrated, and you should know that. Size, can you tell me how my dad got this harem and who the other women are?" To answer your second question, Hinata, his first wife, died very, very long ago. Anna, who was his second wife, was my best friend. We grew up together and played together all the time, so it's like we were twins. When we were learning magic, we would compete to see who could do it better than the other. Even though we competed with each other, we never let it hurt our relationship or friendship. We were first sisters and then rivals. It was fun back then. Irene talked about it with a feeling of longing. After that, we met your dad. Erza leaned in closer to her father to hear more. By far, he was the most interesting person we'd ever met. As soon as we saw him, we were interested in him. We didn't understand this at the time. We were like moths attracted to a light. As we got to know him better, our attraction to him. When we first met him, he was so cute. But he was also kind, strong, charismatic, and charming. Not only did his words draw people to him, but so did his strength. He was also the kind of person who never spit on his friends. He would do anything, even risk his own life, to help as many people as he could. Even though many people thought he was naive, they respected his skills. We couldn't help but fall in love with him after all this. We didn't know that Naruto had the same feelings for both of us and wasn't sure what to do. He couldn't choose between the two without hurting one. He couldn't pick both of us because he didn't want to look like a womanizer. Irene laughed when she thought about those times. Back in the day, Naruto was so cute. So then, what happened? Erza couldn't stop herself from asking. Well, Anna made the first move, and Naruto went along with it. Everyone was happy for them, of course. Everyone, but you. No, I was happy, but I was also jealous because I also wanted to be with him. Then, one day when I was looking for them, I found them doing something. Erza turned red. Anna saw me watching them, so she dragged me into the room. I thought she would yell at me for what I was doing, but she just smiled and asked why it took me so long to find them. So I joined them in a way, and the rest is history. Erza's face was now so red and steamy that it looked like a lobster that was being boiled. How does that work? How did you even make it work? Erza was shocked and asked. Oh, my dear Erza, love can break down many barriers, and let's just say your father had some very convincing ways to keep us happy. He even showed us a lot of ways to make each other happy. Irene said with a sly chuckle. Erza's face was now as red as her hair. She yelled, hentai. Irene just laughed and shook her head. Now, sweetie. As long as they don't go overboard, there's nothing wrong with a spouse showing their love and affection for their partner. Most of the time, at least. Erza did nothing but shake her head to calm down. Can we please get back to what we were talking about? She asked. She wanted to get back to the reason she was there. Ah, yes. For a while, the three of us were the happiest group you could ever see. Then, when his first child was born, things got better for us. You should have seen what he looked like. I had never seen him so happy before. As he held his new baby and thanked Anna over and over again, he had tears in his eyes. Even more, they made me the girl's godmother or aunt. That girl was a bright spot in our lives. She was full of energy and we loved her with all our hearts. Irene smiled when she thought about those happy times with her family. She hoped that when this was over, things could go back to her or at least be similar. Erza smiled as her mother, she wasn't used to saying that yet, spoke to her. She sounded very happy. She was interested in her sister, though. Can you tell me something about my sister? Irene just giggled in amusement. Dumb, honey. You've met your sister already. Erza just blinked. Eh? After all, she's part of your guild. Erza's eyes widen. What? But that can't be. I don't. Then Erza stopped moving because she thought of something Wendy had told her. She told me that she had two half-sisters. That they were guild members. That we had met them in person. Wendy is a... Yes, Erza. Your half-sister is Wendy Marvell, so her father, Naruto Marvell, is also your father. Erza just sat in frozen shock. She didn't think what she was hearing was true. She was Wendy's sister. The sister about whom Wendy talked. And the person she had always been suspicious of was her own father. It was quite a shock to the system. Irene asked Erza with worry, Erza? Gomen, it's just too much for me to take in at once. Irene nodded. I understand, just give it some time to digest it. Wait, if I'm older than Wendy, how could she have been the firstborn if I was? I don't understand. Erza asked, not understanding what was going on at all. When Irene's face turned sad, it made her worry even more. Erza, there are some things you are not ready to hear or understand. Also, I shouldn't tell you this. At least not yet, unless you ask Wendy yourself. Erza groaned. She wanted to find out more, but Irene said the same thing. She can wait to hear what Wendy has to say. Then tell me why you weren't there for me. Why wasn't my father there for me, Naruto? Irene's face gets darker when she thinks about those bad times. It is quite simple, my dear. War. Erza gulped. She asked, war? Yes. My dear, war is hell. It makes people change. In ways you and your friends will never be able to understand. Wait, does this have anything to do with the fact that my dad was a shinobi? A kid who fights? And in what war did you fight? Erza said it out loud. Erza's question seemed to surprise Irene. Wait, how do you know that your father was a shinobi? Erza bit back a curse because she had made a mistake, and then she reluctantly gave a short, vague explanation of what Wendy had said about her, their father. The training in the Makai, the fact that he kills dragons, and the fact that he comes from another world. She did decide to leave out everything else Wendy told them until she was sure she could trust Irene completely. Irene was stunned. She thought Naruto taught Wendy, especially after what happened right before the games and during the games. But the fact that Erza was correct showed that Naruto was changing. He acted like the person he used to be. Even though he did things in a much more mysterious way. When it comes to methods, she and Anna will talk to him about taking Wendy to train on the Makai. Naruto felt a chill go down his spine somewhere else. He knew that he had annoyed his friends in some way. I see. Well, I'm glad to hear that he is becoming more like he used to be. Or something very close to it. Even though she wanted Naruto to be like he used to be. It wasn't so easy. They could never go back to how they were before. Not after all that has happened to them. Can you explain this war to me? Such as, when did it happen? The last war in Fury was 100 years ago, when Mavis was still living on Earthland. Irene sighed because she knew she was about to tell the next big secret. You don't know about this because it happened more than 400 years ago. Erza's eyes widen. What? Yes, you did hear correctly. Anna, your dad, and I do not come from this time. All of us come from the past. But how do you still have a heartbeat? You don't look like you're over 30. Irene giggled. Well, thanks. I'm actually in my late 30s, but that's not the point. How are we still living? I can't tell you why Anna and Wendy are the way they are, but I can tell you about myself and your father. We are both dragon slayers, so that's why. You, too, kill dragons? Are you like him, a fourth generation? When you talk about the fourth generation, Irene's eyes get big. Wait, how do you know anything about the fourth generation? Wendy said. She didn't say much, though. She told them that they were the strongest dragon slayers, but that was all she said. She said that she told Tu San she wouldn't talk much about it. I see. Irene said. Why would he tell her about them? Irene's eyes get very big as she says, unless he found out that Wendy was also one. Hell with it all. Did we still fail after everything we did to stop them from turning? She asked herself before letting out a sigh of frustration. She shouldn't make such a quick decision before talking to Naruto. She really hoped that it wasn't true. Yes, Erza, I am also from the 4th generation. Yes, our generation is the strongest. But all that power came with a cost that wasn't worth it. What exactly do you mean? Erza asked, feeling scared. Erza, when the war started, all we wanted to do was keep our friends and family safe. We wanted to tell everyone about our ideas. We wanted to bring people together so they could understand each other. But sometimes our ideals make it hard to see the real world around us. War is a cruel mistress, Erza. I hope you never have to see it. Every day, the smell of fire fills your nose. Sometimes, they would sleep on the ground while waiting for an enemy attack. You will have to watch as many of your fellow souls blown up or burned up. You might also see some of them going crazy, at which point all you can do is The smell is what stays with you. The smell of the dead bodies piling up and the smell they give off when they are burned to give them a proper burial. Seeing people you trusted stab you in the back, kill other Nakama to get more power, and even kill children as young as 5. Seeing my Naruto get so angry that he killed all of those traitors and lost all of his friends because everyone was afraid of him. So, Erza, that's what war meant to us. Erza gasped when she heard all of this. She didn't know what to say in response. Was she going to say? She had never been in such a fight before, so she had no right to judge what her father did. Even more so because he had a good reason to be so angry. She asked in a quiet voice, what happened next? Even though he was sad, Naruto still wanted to stop the fighting so that you and Wendy could live in a world without trouble. He went to someone to end the war, and Naruto may still be haunted by that choice to this day. When I saw Naruto on the battlefield again, he was different from the last time I saw him. He was a blind berserker who attacked anyone who got in his way. So much blood was shed on both sides because of him that many people tried to work together to stop him. But it didn't matter. Nobody could stop him, and nobody was safe from his anger. Even his strict father couldn't escape his anger. What? He killed his own dad? Sighs, yes, he did, and he probably still feels bad about what he did to his friends and especially Anna. Even though we don't blame him, he probably still feels very bad about what he did to Anna, even though we don't. Erza was worried when she saw Irene wipe her eyes and take a few deep breaths as tears fell from her eyes. She took a second sip of tea to calm down. What did Tu-san do to Anna-san? Irene said no when Erza asked. I'm sorry Erza, but I can't tell you. I shouldn't be telling you about it. If you want to know what's really going on, you should ask Anna or Naruto. Do you think that Wendy knows? It could happen. But you would have to ask her, and don't be surprised if she doesn't want to tell you. Naruto got what he wanted in the end, and the war was over. But not how he had hoped. After that, he went away, and I haven't seen him since. What's up with Wendy? What did Acnologia have to do with any of this? Erza asked. She was curious about what Acnologia was doing in this fight. On whose side was he? That will be a different story. You'd have to ask her yourself. About Acnologia, your father should explain that. Irene said. She didn't want to have to tell him that Naruto and Acnologia were the same thing. Not only would that lead to a lot more questions, but Naruto was the one who had to say it. Not her. Neither Anna nor Wendy. But him. What do you think? How did you get here? After the war, the people I helped were the ones who put me in jail. They started to think I was a monster, and Naruto's actions made them even more afraid. I was months in a very cruel way. When they tried to take you away from me, I finally lost it. I got out of prison and hid for 1,000 years. However, they caused a lot of damage. I had a lot of bad dreams and could never fall asleep without getting a cold sweat. PTSD. Indeed. I even noticed that I couldn't taste food anymore. Nothing I ate or drank tasted good. I wasn't really living during that time. I became desperate. I was desperate to feel something again. Then I thought of you. I became obsessed with the idea that if I moved into you, I could start living again. Since you were in my womb, it would be easy for me to do the transfer. Erza's eyes get very big when she thinks about what Irene planned to do to her. As you grew, I planned the spell and everything else to make the transfer possible for months, but when the time came, I was frozen. As you reached out your arms to me, all I could hear were your happy cries. Soon, I could feel tears coming out of my eyes. You stopped me from going crazy at that moment. And for those few seconds, I felt terrible about what I was trying to do to you. So, I left you in the Rosemary village with a heavy heart and never looked back. Erza didn't say anything because she didn't know what to say. She asked quietly, "Please continue." I stayed in silence for a while. Until Anna found me and took me to her house in the middle of nowhere. After a few years, she got me back to the person I used to be. She even helped me be able to taste it. A few months later, she finally got me to agree that it was time to see you. I wasn't sure at first, but Anna's example made me realize it was time to see you. But when we got there, all we saw was a village that had been burned down. We found a few masks, so we knew it was those stupid Zeref cultists. But even with the nose of a dragon, there was no way to find out where they went. Because of this, I fell into a deep depression. I felt bad about this because I thought I should have been there for you. Anna was always there for me and helped me through the hard times. She saved me, and I'll always be grateful to her. "Come on, guys, it wasn't just me," someone said. When they turned around, they saw a golden seal on the floor. A beautiful blonde woman with a big bust came out of the seal. Anna Heartfilia was this person. She gave birth to Wendy and was Naruto's second wife. Erza was confused by the woman, who looked like an older version of Lucy. She asked nicely, "Wait, who are you?" Anna giggled in amusement. "I'm Anna." Erza's eyes get so big that they look like plates. "Wait, you're Anna? Why do you remind me of Lucy's mom? How do you know her? Is Lucy also one of my sisters?" Both of the women laughed, which made Erza even more angry. She said in a mad tone, "Please take this seriously. Forgive us, dear." With that look on your face, "You look so cute," Erza blushed at the compliment. "To answer your questions. Yes, I am related to Lucy, and she is technically your sister." Erza opened and closed her eyes. "Technically? You know that I've been alive for more than 400 years. With Naruto, Wendy wasn't the only child I had. I've been with him before. One of my kids would carry on the family line and live in this time." Erza's eyes widen in understanding. "You mean?" Anna nodded. "Yes. Lucy is my descendant, but I think it would be easier to call her your half-sister." "Does she know about this?" "Does Wendy?" Erza asked. "I know for sure that Lucy doesn't know any of this, but since my husband trained Wendy, he probably told her everything." Anna said as Erza nodded. "I see," she said. "Erza, I have a favor to ask of you. Don't tell Lucy anything about this yet. I don't think she's ready to hear any of this." Anna said. "I understand. This is a lot of information. Even I'm having a hard time taking it all in." "When will you tell her?" Erza asked. "By the end of the games, I'll tell her everything, including how I got to this time period, unless Wendy or Naruto tells me something first. I guess everything comes back to them." Erza thought before giving a nod. "Alright. Erza, what do you think all this means?" Irene asked this question with some worry. Erza took a deep sigh. "I'm not sure how to feel. Since I've never been in a war, I can't judge you for what you did or the lives you took. So I don't think I can criticize any of the decisions you made. It's possible that those choices are the reason I'm here today. I know what you went through while you were locked up. When I was taken prisoner, the cultists turned me into a slave and made me work on something called the Tower of Heaven. Every day was a nightmare, and I had to watch as good friends left my life because of it. So I know how it can hurt a person, and I know how much you want to get rid of all that pain." Erza bit her lip as she thought about what she was going to say next. She slowly put out her arm and said, "That's why I'm willing to give this a try. To have you in my life again. Ka-san," she said. Irene quickly grabbed Erza in a tight hug. "Thank you, Erza." They stayed close together for a while before Irene pulled away so she could look at Irene directly. "Okay, I think you should go back to your guild now. You have a lot to think about, and I know you'll need time to get used to everything, right?" Erza nodded. "Thank you." Irene was happy. She said, "For you, my dear, anything." Before Irene put her hand on Erza's shoulder, she was about to leave. Erza seemed interested. Mom, is something wrong? She asked. Let me do something for you before you leave. I should have done this for you a long time ago. Erza had a bright pink aura around her when Irene tapped her on the head. Erza felt a surge of energy come over her. It was as if something deep inside her woke up, and she felt stronger than ever before. As soon as the aura showed up, it went away, and Erza looked exactly the same as before. Erza looked at her mother in a way that was both curious and strange. What the heck did you do to me? Irene was happy. Why, my dear, I let out your dragon-slaying magic, she said as if it were the easiest thing in the world. Erza felt her brain shut down for the second time tonight. She felt it start up again when she understood what her mother told her. Her eyes got as big as dinner plates, and her jaw fell to the ground. You what? She yelled, shocked to the core. You listen. You kill dragons for a living. After all, your parents are the same person. It makes sense that you would be one too. Well, how? I know that both of you are dragon slayers, so it's likely that I am one too, but I've never done anything to suggest that I am. Dear, how can you show signs if you didn't know you were one in the first place? But the main reason you didn't show any physical signs is that I stopped you from being a dragon slayer. You locked it up. Why? Erza asked. Irene sighed in a sad way. Because I didn't want you to have to carry the weight of being a dragon slayer. Thank goodness, you never have to worry about being turned into a dragon. As I watched you grow while you were still in my womb, I made sure to destroy any abilities that the dragon seed might have given you. My obsession with getting your body was the only good thing that came out of it. Irene thought to herself, then turned her attention back to Erza. Even though you were sealed, you still showed signs of being a dragon slayer. Erza looked up with an interest. Tell me, Erza, did you ever wonder how you could get hit so many times and still get up and fight? Did you ever wonder where all that strength and durability came from? Erza thought about the toughest fights she had ever been in. She was able to fight off the Jupiter Cannon, one of the Element 4, and even Jose, a wizard saint, for a while. During the fight with a Karuga, she was cut more than once, but she noticed that it didn't hurt her very much. Then there was the fight with Azuma and Hades of Grimoire Heart. In all of those fights, her body was really hurt, but she was still able to fight. I guess, but does that mean that everything I've done is because I'm part Dragon Slayer? Erza said that she was a little sad. Were all of her successes because of her genes? Irene tapped her on the head in a silly way. Now, honey, I don't think so. Even though you were born with a head start, you trained your body to be in its best shape. You were the one who pushed yourself past your limits to beat your enemies. Erza, don't let your short life and the things you've already done hold you back. The way you were born is just an advantage you have. But that advantage became clear because of how hard you worked. So, my dear, be proud of yourself. Erza blushed and then gave a grateful nod. Thank you, Mom. No problem, my dear. I think you should go back to your guild now. Erza looked at the sky to find out how late it was. Before you know it, time has gone by. She started to walk away but stopped and said, yes, it's time. She wanted to tell them what she had heard, but she was afraid to because her master had told her not to tell anyone. What's going wrong? Irene asked out of worry. When the two women looked at Erza's eyes, they saw that she was very serious. In the games, there has been a magical force that is bad. We don't know where it came from, but Zeref is involved. Father also warned Wendy about something. Erza decided to give the most vague explanation she could think of, but she still got her point across. Erza was worried when she saw how sad they looked and realized that they knew something about the warning. Erza, we appreciate the information, but please leave it alone for now. Do you get it? Until you have proof, do you get it? Erza nodded. Hi, I understand. I'll see you soon, and I hope your team does well. Thank you, Mom. Erza then left to go back to the place where her guild stayed. Irene put her chair back and looked tired. Sigh, I'm worn out. All of that talking about the past brought up feelings I thought I had put to rest a long time ago. Then Anna gave Irene a tight hug. Don't worry, you're past that now. You're more powerful than that. They can no longer hurt you. There is a good side to all of this, too. Irene looked at her from above. You finally talked to Erza, so we know for sure that our husband has come back. Irene's eyes were tearing up. Yes. He has, yes. She wiped her eyes quickly and then looked up at Anna with a serious face. Do you think this has to look with the escape gate? Irene asked. More likely than not. But Naruto hasn't done anything yet, so we will too. We don't do anything until he does. Odd. She sighed before getting up and stretching. I need to get all of this tension out of my body. Anna turned her head to Irene and kissed her softly on the lips. To relax, I think we both need a nice hot bath and some TLC. Alright, Anna-chan, show us the way. Irene had a purr. Anna giggled. Of course. Then Anna grabbed Irene by the arm and led her to their bedroom. Both of them were in for a long night. Naruto sneezed because he felt like he was missing out on some great sex with his wives. Erza was walking down the path when she saw something she had seen before. Carla was with Gray. Gray. Carla. When they saw the red-haired mage, the two were surprised. Erza? He asked, why are you out this late? Erza just gave a small smile. Let's just say I was meeting up with someone I knew from long ago. Gray nodded. I see. She asked Gray, whose head was hanging down in frustration, what happened to you? Juvia and Leon got me into another bad situation that I shouldn't have been in. Erza just laughed and shook her head. Crappy? Come on, Gray, this is only bad because you've let it get this way. You're aware of how Juvia feels, right? Yuha. You should just tell her the truth. Gray just shook his head. HMPH. Erza just laughed and shook her head. It would make things easier, as you know. Carla said. Talking about easy, Carla, how are things with Wendy? Gray asked. When Carla looked down, her face fell. She still doesn't want to talk to me and is staying away from me. The master has already talked to her, and she probably won't want to talk to me for a while, if ever. She said sadly. The two members looked at each other with worry before Erza walked up to Carla and gave her a gentle pat on the head. Give her a chance, Carla. I'm sure she'll change her mind at some point. Carla said, yes, but she wasn't sure if Wendy would ever talk to her again. Let's get over to the guild's lodge. They agreed to go to sleep as they nodded. After a few minutes, at Fairy Tale Lodging. Natsu was really mad. After talking to Lucy, Natsu went after Yukino to say sorry for how he treated her. Yukino broke down in tears and told the master that she was no longer a part of Sabretooth because of what he did to her. Natsu was mad about a lot of things. He told Happy to take Yukino back into the lodge while he went to cool off. And by cooling his head, he meant that he was going to storm Sabretooth Lodging and beat the master up. Natsu had to stop, though, when Minerva, the daughter of the master, showed up with a tied-up Happy. Happy had followed Natsu after he left Yukino with the guild and had been looking for him. Natsu had to run away, but not before telling Sabretooth that Fairy Tail wouldn't lose to them and that they should take care of their nakama. Erza was angry, and she was now yelling at Natsu. Erza yelled, you idiot, what in the hell were you thinking? What they did to Yukino made them deserve it. Natsu said stubbornly. Natsu-san, you didn't have to go so far just for me. Yukino made a plea. Yes, I did. You didn't deserve that crap because you were a nice girl. You should never be so mean to your nakama. Yukino turned red. Arigato, Natsu-ku-san. She almost made a mistake with the ending, which made her blush. Erza kept staring at her until she finally gave up and sighed. Except for the people on Team A, most of the guild had gone to sleep. Wendy and the master were smart to close the door to the room so that no noise could get out. Makarov was also annoyed by what Natsu did. He knew exactly why Natsu did what he did. After all, when he was younger in the guild, he liked Natsu. But that was in the past, and Natsu's actions still had to be dealt with. Natsu, I get why you did what you did, but it was still a bad idea to do that to a guild that was still in the games. If they wanted to, they could easily tell the officials about this and get us kicked out of the games. Natsu jerked back. I'll let this go this time, but there will be consequences the next time. Do you understand? Natsu nodded. Yes, Gramps. Makarov sighed before looking at everyone. Well, since you guys are still awake, I think everyone should go meet our new guests. The group nodded and walked in. When they saw Wendy's three girls, they were wide awake and looking around. The three people inside became wary when they saw the group, especially the brunette. Good evening, ladies. You don't have to be so wary of us. Now, how do you feel? Makarov asked politely. The girl with blue hair said, "We are doing well, thank you very much." "Can you tell us your names?" "My name is Katya," the Wendy look-alike said. Then she pointed to the brown-haired girl. "This is Eclair, and this is her partner, Momin." Which told why the yellow bird was yellow. Makarov nodded. "Well, it's nice to meet you all. Can you tell us what's going on?" Makarov asked. This time, Momin started to speak. "Well, we were just on the road when we heard that fairy tale was going to be in the games. Katya has always been a fan, and she begged us to stop at the games for at least one day." This made Katya blush. "We had stops in the city, so it didn't bother us. But when we got to the stadium and tried to find our way to the stands, we got lost. At that point, we realized we were being watched. We were able to get away from them for a few seconds and ran in a random direction, which led us to the infirmary of your guild. We tried to find a place inside where we could hide, but poor Lyuzica came and asked us what we were doing. When those thugs heard her, they attacked us, and you know what happened next." Makarov and the others were very worried about what was happening. People who had nothing to do with this got caught up in it because of their problems with Raven Tail. They were glad Wendy happened to walk by at the right time. "Oh, I see. It's lucky Wendy was nearby, because if she hadn't been, you would still be in their hands." "Thank you, Wendy-san." Katya and Momin thanked each other. Before she scratched the back of her head, Wendy turned red. "No big deal. All I wanted to do was help." Eclair just looked confused by everything, but she didn't let her guard down like her friends did. "So, are we allowed to leave?" she asked in a rude way. The other people were confused by her behavior, and Katya and Mammon gave her dirty looks because of it. Eclair, the two told them, but they didn't listen. "That might not be the best idea, though," Makarov said. Katya and Momin were unsure of what was going on. Eclair was mad at Makarov. She asked, "Why?" But Makarov just gave her a wave. Now. No need to get so distrustful. I do this to keep you safe." Eclair didn't calm down, so Makarov kept going. "You see, the people who hired those thugs are part of one of the participating guilds. They were looking for a stellar mage, and unfortunately for you, Katya, they found you when they were looking for one. And this mistake isn't going to stop this guild. This means that Katya will be targeted again as soon as you three are alone." Makarov then turned to Yukino. "This also means that you, Yukino, will be in danger." This was about the 4 names given. "What do you want them to do now? They can't always be locked up. So, Makarov-sama, what do you suggest?" Yukino asked. Makarov smiled when he told him about his new idea. "I have an easy answer." This made everyone stop and listen. "You can stay with us as long as the games last. You have a nice place to sleep and great seats for the games. Then, when the games are over, we can help you get supplies so you can get back on your way." Katya and Momin were both looking at the stars. That was the best deal of all time. Katya was especially happy because she could be with the guild she liked the most. Still, Eclair wasn't happy about this. "Wow, that sounds great. What do you think, Eclair?" asked Katya, who was very excited. "Come on, Eclair. It won't last more than a few days," Momin thought. Eclair looked at the two of them and realized that nothing she says will make them change their minds. She gave up and sighed. "It's been a few days, and I hope nothing bad happens in that time." "Fine. It's better than getting caught again," she said under her breath. Makarov nodded. "Yukino?" Makarov asked. She thanked him and said, "I would be honored, Makarov-sama," but he waved her away. "Don't worry about it. Let's all go to sleep now." Erza stopped Wendy as she was about to walk to her room. "What's up with Erza?" she asked. "Can we talk in private?" Wendy knew this was a serious matter, so she gave a nod. After they went into a room that was empty and put up some privacy seals, Wendy sat down next to Erza. She asked in a cute way, "So what's wrong?" Erza bit her bottom lip as she tried to think of what to say. I met up with Irene." Before Wendy's eyes went back to normal, they got bigger, but they also got a bit more excited. "Well, there goes another secret." "I see. That's why. You're my sister." Wendy nodded happily. "Yes." "Wendy, why didn't you tell me?" Erza asked. even though she was happy to have a big family. She didn't understand why Wendy never spoke up. Erza, I really wanted to, but it wasn't my job to tell you about Auntie or the fact that our fathers are the same. They were the only ones who could tell you. They had to admit their mistakes, take responsibility for them, and deal with the consequences. Both good and bad things. Erza nodded. I guess I can see your point. So, what did she say to you? Asked. She told me how she met her father and how they got along. Erza still couldn't say that without making a funny face. She also saw that Wendy's cheeks had turned a bright pink. I see. Yes, it does take a while to get used to. It took me months to be able to hear that without getting angry. What else did Auntie say? She told me that she was a dragon slayer 400 years ago, just like her father, and that they both fought in the same war. His slide into madness and why neither of them were there for the two of us. Anna-san and I also talked. When Wendy heard about her surrogate mother, she perked up. How is Ka-chan? She asked. Erza could tell that Wendy was eager to find out how her mother was doing. She's doing well and is looking forward to talking to you and Lucy soon. This made Wendy laugh a lot. You also know about her. Yes, both of them asked me not to tell her until the end of the games. Wendy nodded. I understand. I really wanted to tell you both then, when things were quieter, but I guess that plan went out the window. Wendy said with a small giggle. That's how we do things around here. Erza retorted. Wendy giggled again. Yes, it's true. Wendy thought. Both of them laughed at this. When Erza looked at her sister, she changed her mood. Yeah, still felt strange to say, but it was the right thing to say. Wendy, Ka-san wouldn't tell me about some things. How are you older than me but look so much younger? What happened between our father and Anna's other child? Erza could see Wendy's face fall a little as her eyes got sad, but before she could say anything, Erza put up her hand. No, Wendy, I won't force you to tell me. I really don't think I can take any more hard truths for the rest of the night. I don't mind. I just want you to know that as your friend and sister, I will always be here to listen to what you have to say. Then Wendy gave Erza a strong hug. Thanks, Erza. I'm glad you're my sister. Erza smiled as she gave him a hug back. Me too, I'm sorry. Erza kindly jokes. Erza let go of the hug and turned to look at her. Wendy, would you mind if I spent the night with you? Wendy nodded, and then she and her roommate quickly took a bath, put on their pajamas, and went to their shared room. Everyone else was asleep, thank goodness. The two got into bed quickly and cuddled up. Go to sleep, Nei-chan. Erza kissed Wendy on the forehead, and Wendy said something. She replied, Night, Imo-udo. With smiles on their faces, the two fell asleep happily in each other's arms. The night went well for these two.
So that's it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe to the channel for more awesome stories like this. Thank you. See you all in my next video.